The Rolling Out podcast. Stories from people who just have to skate. Hello and welcome to the Rolling Out podcast, where I meet up with members of the Birmingham and West Midlands roller skating community and talk about their journey with skating, life, music, whatever else comes up as we chat really. My name is Stephen Camden, or Polar Bear, and I'm a writer and creative practitioner from Smethwick, and I don't skate yet. I just love stories and meeting interesting people, and the skating community in our city is full of them. Each of these pilot episodes is a long-form conversation with a different member of the skating community, recorded wherever they felt comfortable to sit down with me and share some of their story. Hope you enjoy. When you mention skating in and around Brum, one name always comes up: Delroy. A figurehead and leader in the community for years, Delroy's experience and generosity translate into an energy and warmth that makes you want to pick up a pair of skates and get rolling. You can really feel the passage of time in this one and the many personas over the years that make up this fascinating human being. Loved it. Thanks, Delroy. Here's our chat. What I've been asking people is, can you please just tell me your name, where we are, and when your skating journey started, please?
Okay, name's Delroy Thomas, in my house, which is in Smethwick, and my journey in skating started from the age of, oh God, you're talking about, about 11.
You were 11?
Yeah.
Right, come then. And did skating come into your life, or did you see it somewhere else? What was that first encounter? What was that first?
It was thrust upon me from my parents.
Ooh.
So basically, it was if it was in the summer, and it wasn't Christmas, it's something else. And parents came up with a pair of skates.
Wow.
So they gave us a pair of skates to begin with, out the blue.
Wow.
Had no idea what skating was.
Where do you think that came from then? Do you think they'd seen it somewhere? Or
I think they'd seen it somewhere. Yeah. But my parents are from the Caribbean, so not American, so they must have seen it somewhere and thought, well, we were always outside kids, but back then that was the norm, sort of thing. And they thought, okay, then a bit of extra, fitness or whatever they're thinking, here's something to go on. Yeah. So I had a pair of, back then, they were rainbow skates.
And are they the ones that you put your foot in and strap over, or the actual get in?
No, get in.
Wow.
Yeah. We did dabble in skating we went to, back in the day we had some youth services in Sunfield Park, and they had the strapping over skate things, sort of thing. But because they were very barbaric, we didn't really get into it. We were into more the pogo sticks back then, rather than the skates. Yeah, so we left the skates alone, but when my parents bought those, and if people remember the rainbow boots, they're like suede with rainbow colours on the side. And because they went to a certain size, my brothers had bigger feet, so they had standard brown boots. Okay. So I was the only one who had these blue velvet rainbow boots, which are like kicking. You know what I mean? Like they had standard brown sort of tan boots, but roller skates and as well. But that's how we got into it. Just out the blue. So
come on then. So you mentioned siblings there. So how many of you are there who get in these boots in terms of siblings?
Oh, just the three of us, 3 boys.
Okay, so 3 boys. And you're the youngest of 3.
I'm the at the time, right. The 3. Yeah.
Cool. So you're the youngest of 3. And in terms of like what's going on in the world at this time, what kind of era are we talking?
We are talking 1985. So we're talking about 1980.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So 1980. So. That's, that wouldn't it be... So were you the only people on the street to have skates and stuff at that time? It wasn't like wide, was it?
No, it wasn't wide at all. Oh, okay. It was very, very, very rare. And because we were part of... In them days, sort of thing, the kids were seen, not heard.
Yeah.
So we were very active. So, parents went to work as normal, come back from school, and we went straight out to the playing fields and everything else. So skating then was started from that, and skating was just then in our sort of local area, nothing too far.
Where was that then again? Sorry?
That was in Ladywood, or back in the day the boundaries changed. It's actually Edgbaston.
Okay,
it changed to Ladywood, but that was down by Northbrook Street, Willow Gardens, that area, right by Sunfield Park. So that's where we first started to learn to skate then.
Wow.
And because we had no idea of skating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just by, we had no one to teach us.
This is what I was going to say,
You know what I
mate.
mean? Like,
what
no.
are you looking at? Are you just literally getting out and just dropping and dropping?
Yeah,
and going?
dropping, get back up, get back up, and that was it. Basically, that's the way we got into it. And then back then, because we went to one of the local churches, Summerfield Christ Church.
Yeah.
I was a campaigner back then.
Yeah.
It was like a Boy Scout, but different. You know, we had blue shirts. You know what I mean? A bit more creative. So they took us skating, and took us skating at Silver Blades.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, and then that opened the door to, well, we could sort of roller skate already a little bit.
Yeah.
And then this ice skating, we done that, and we were captivated by ice skating.
Yeah.
And we went, even though back then we're talking, I'm about 12, 13. And that session of skating then got me mesmerised with ice skating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so in between that, we were sort of ice skating when we could, sort of thing, but roller skating was the one where we had it, because it's free at home and everything else. So the skating then led to, I say back in the day, it was almost like, the boots were good at the time and everything else. Bearings were, this is going to sound old now, at the time, bearings were £1 each.
Wow.
Yeah, so imagine now we had to get 16 bearings. You know what I mean? Like, and back in the day, you know, in some families, didn't have no such thing as pocket money.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, so it was
£16.
£16, and we were lucky that in that area there's a local store, and he had skating bearings, but it was a T bearings.
Okay.
What I have, and he sold for £1. So now and again we go in there, get a couple of bearings every so month, just to keep stock of what we had. Mm-hmm. And then we just carried on skating as hard as we could, skate as much as we can, and then, of course, then you see the trend change from standard boots, into, you know what, we should get like the adult boots sort of thing. What's going back around there at the time, and at the time it was Bowers.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm jumping ahead a lot, but Bowers was the way to go.
Yeah.
So first of all, you got to find.
I was going to say,
you got to get some boots.
these things at that time.
Yeah.
Like...
There's no way. I'm trying to think how to get my Bowers. God.
Are you seeing anything on TV, or are you seeing anything in magazines? How are you even like?
No. I'll tell you, this is how caveman it is. Yeah, this is caveman style now. We didn't even have a drill. Yeah, so when we done our own boots, we used to get a nail.
Yeah.
And put it on the mum's gas cooker, hit the nail up, get a pair of pliers, and press it into the plastic boot to do the hole, because we didn't have electric drill, nothing like that. No, it just didn't compute. So we done things basically then, even without our parents' permission, we just done it.
Yeah.
And then we put the boots and we got it. We knew roughly about geometrics, how to put things straight.
Yeah.
So we done that part. So we got that part good.
But you don't do that unless it's something. That's the kind of thing that's already a passion.
Exactly.
You've got to feel strong enough to want to do that.
Exactly.
So can I ask? Sorry to interrupt you, man. But like they give the skates to you.
Yeah.
You put them on. You're out, so you're dropping in it. But there's something in it that makes you stick with it.
Yeah.
How long before you're like going up and down and feeling, you know what, I could. This is something.
Yeah. It took, I'd say, a couple of weeks.
For real?
For a couple of weeks. And it's one of the things where either back then is either you either if someone's doing something, you gotta remember the choppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we couldn't afford a chopper. Same. Yeah. So mum turned around and says, well, you ain't got a chopper, but you got a tomahawk. Which is the baby with a chopper. Yeah. But we have friends who had choppers. So we come along with a tomahawk. It's like, okay, you had that Joneses syndrome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I want to have that one.
Yeah.
I gotta have some. If I can't have it, I have something that looks like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I can't afford it after that. You know what I mean? So have something that looks like it. So with that, then when it comes to skating, it was like, you know what? Skating had no value.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by that, what I mean is, your ability of skating was up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you put the practice in, you will come out with the skills. Yeah. No practice, no skills. Yeah. So it wasn't about money.
Yeah.
It's about how good you are at skating. So you put the dedication. So you put the practice in to get it, and once you got it, it's like, you're on another level. Yeah. And it's almost like a ranking system.
Yeah. It's basically it's kind of pure empowerment, right? If I put the time in, I see direct results.
Exactly.
And are all three of you putting as much time as each other?
Yes. All three brothers doing it, and then we got our cousins started doing it as well.
Yo.
We got cousins, and they came down, and that was another 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 4 brothers who came with our cousins who was in the local area around the park, and we all were doing it. But it's a case of, you know what, in order, and this is sort of a bit crass, but in order to impress girls and everything else. You gotta have the girls. You gotta have the skill set. No skill set, you ain't gonna get looking.
Yeah.
I don't care what people talk about.
Yeah.
And that time, then we couldn't drive cars. We weren't allowed to drive everything else. So you look at the next best thing. So we had the youth clubs.
Yeah.
And then at the youth club, you had people who could break dance
Yeah.
and everything else back then. And had certain crews around the area. I said, yeah, but I wasn't a break dancer. I was a dancer, but not a break dancer.
Yeah.
So, but I was a skater.
Yeah.
So the skating then had its own genre, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and there was no, back then, there was no halls, anything like that. There's no venues to go to.
Yeah.
It was street skate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and the venue was open ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that then led us to be good enough to, and then challenge off each other,
Yeah.
sort of thing. You know,
Was it competitive?
very competitive.
With the three of you, like...
With the three of us, and well, 7 of us, sort of thing. Very
Okay,
competitive, yeah. And even then, it got competitive, and because we're talking like 2 years apart,
Yeah.
sort of thing. So we're all in that same youthful period. And I mean, so yeah. Some people had speed, yeah. Some people had agility and looked good and everything else, and some people just have pure swagger.
So what were you can ask? If you're going to give yourself the superpower of that thing, what was it?
If you give yourself superpower, I would say it's a swagger,
Yes.
sort of thing. And
Like if it was a silhouette, I would know it was you skating.
yeah, that's right. Everybody had their own. So it's like a breed. It's almost like you see someone skating, you know who it is.
Yeah.
They didn't, not the name, they didn't see the face, but the way they skated.
Yeah.
Oh, that's James, or that's Charles, or that's Ken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like then you had your speed skaters. You know what I mean? Like people head down and you know what I mean, and they're off. But again, that in itself had its own sort of
Like a subculture.
yeah, sort of thing. It's almost like okay, and then that's how we got into the ice skating afterwards, sort of thing.
Okay.
But back then it was get your own boots,
Yeah.
skating on the streets up by Barford Road and everything else. Very, very quick then to learn road etiquette.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the point that there was none.
Yeah.
No one knew how to manage the streets.
Yeah.
Parks is one thing, but on the road is different now completely.
Yeah.
And of course, being boys, testosterone levels go up.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna do some daft things, and we've done some daft things, really daft things, things which could have ended people's lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the time, that wasn't thought of. It was like, I'm in the moment, so we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Some things were not so much antisocial, because when we skated in the park, so it wasn't like we were skating in between people and that sort of thing. It's in the bigger open areas. But yeah, sometimes when people said, oh, I'm going to hang on the back of a vehicle or something, which was very common back then. I don't recommend it now. You know, I mean, like, had a very close call with one, and I was like, no, that was a very, very. It's almost like a. No, he said your life flashed in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
It was like that, and after that, it was like, no more of that for us. Like, and one close call done that for all of us.
Okay, good.
It wasn't like one person at a time. It was one close call for all of us, and we're like, you know what? And it wasn't even said we're not going to do it. It was just like. It's just a feeling, and it's almost like a bit of mind meld. People's like, nah.
So can you, that moment, right? Can you, with that kind of scene, can you remember like what the vehicle was? Is it vivid in your mind still?
Oh yeah, it never goes away.
Where was it then? Can I ask? Sorry,
it was on Dudley Road.
Yeah,
we were on the back of a bus, hanging on the back of the bus. Yeah.
On the main Dudley Road?
On the main Dudley Road, coming up from Capel, coming up.
Yeah.
And because we couldn't have the strength to go up the hill, so we caught the back of the bus, sort of thing, and the back of the boot handles, or the engine handle at the back. There's a chain of about...
the smog alone, man, the kind of...
Oh, you're not thinking about that at the time. You're thinking about, I'm tired, I don't want to go up the hill, so the bus is giving me a lift. And the certain perception is, after a certain distance, you're supposed to let go.
Yeah.
So, because the speed, momentum.
Yeah.
And this time, we didn't let go. You know what I mean? Like, so we've gone up the hill.
Yeah.
The bus starts to level off there. Yeah. That's when we decided to let go.
Yeah.
But now we're going faster than the bus.
Yeah, you're on the main road.
So we're on the main road and everything else. So you can imagine now you got about 6 kids.
Yeah.
And we're going...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Past the bus and everything else. And the bus is now coming to a stop because it's coming to a bus stop.
Yeah.
So what happened was basically, if it was like 6 fighter jets scattered from the back of the bus. Wow. So depending in which direction you're going, depending on that determined your fate.
Yeah.
Not everybody made it. Yeah. It was a case of, you know what, this is it. Someone's going to really, this is really going to hurt somebody. Yeah. You know. But touch wood, nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
That includes pedestrians. Nobody got hurt at all.
Okay.
So there's a couple of bruises.
But it was definitely that mood of everyone's like, yo.
Yeah, definite mood and everything else, to the point when some people were in a bit of shock afterwards.
Yeah.
So after that encounter, it was almost like it was spoken about later on, but when it came to looking at it again or doing it, it was like the unspoken word.
Yeah.
Like this, it's a no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was just no.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. You know what I mean? And even with sort of people doing it, we were like, no.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because you think to yourself, for some people, the perception of it, like the adrenaline of it or the excitement of it, you think that's almost what people want. And what you're saying is that's not what you wanted.
No.
It was something else.
Yeah.
So it almost kind of helps you clarify what...
Very clear.
Do you know what I mean?
It was very clear, and people then we had a different respect then for the road.
Yeah.
And for pedestrians and for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Knowing that in that one instant, in that 30 seconds, we could have lost 6 guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True
Like, but touch wood, like I said, nobody's injured and nothing happened as such. But it was. And it stays with us.
Yeah, I was going to say,
even now, we still meet the same guys because some of them are my brothers and everything else. And that same accident, now and again, it comes up, and it is very, very vivid. It's real. You know,
it's one of them. What do you call it? Like sliding doors things, isn't it? Like one way or the other way. Do you think it made you actively like trying to search for places that were more kind of safe to do? Was there literally nowhere, no halls? Or... No,
not back then. No halls, nothing, and nothing else. And then later on, we found a place up called. You got to remember, because even though people talk about postcode gangs and everything else, they weren't the postcode gangs at the time and everything else, but they still had like the Zulus and all that was going around. So, and to go to a different place, one, you needed money to get there. Yeah. Transport. And we didn't have cars. We're in our teens, you know what I mean? So there's no cars around. Yeah. So, and there's no bus fares. No. You know what I mean? Parents don't get money for bus fare.
And you've got to watch who you're with, haven't you, man?
Yeah. So everything's just local. Everything's all local. We had 2 youth centres, one in Saunderfield Park, and another one was called St Cuthbert's. That's down by back of Aberdeen Street, sort of thing, that side. Still the back of Saunderfield School, sort of thing. Yeah. That was there. But those didn't do skating as such, you know what I mean? So the skating was mainly in the parks and on the street and everything else. Yeah. But because we had done that and we then got our skill set, being able to skate allowed us to travel. Yeah. On our skates. Yeah. So we would travel on our skate to Aston.
It's a cruise.
Yeah. And we would skate all the way there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and there was none of this, I've got a spare wheel just in case my one falls off. Yeah. There's none of that. We put our boots on and we go and skate. And if somebody broke down, you break down. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, and there was none of this, what's the word now? Leave no one behind? Yeah. No, you got left behind. Oh, yeah.
I love it because, as you say, it's that thing of that risk. There is risk in it, right? Yeah. But that it brings you together, right? So, are you feeling like a crew?
Oh yeah, but at the time we was talking. The other guys were our cousins. Yeah. So it's all family. Yeah. You know what I mean? And anyone you brought and came into it was family. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, so.
And did that happen? Did it start to grow? Did people start looking at it? I guess what I'm saying is, was the perception out of it like, ooh, they're there, they skate a lot. Yeah. Did that happen? Were you aware of other people's perceptions of you? Oh, yeah. Was everyone... what did people think of you?
It was like... At the time, it was like, because we weren't getting into trouble. Yeah. And so like, they're skating. We're not getting into trouble. Yeah. You know what I mean? We weren't doing any tatting, or, getting the medals and stuff. Yeah. Old houses. None of that was going on. We were just kids being kids. Yeah. And we judge ourselves against ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there was no animosity between anybody back then. If you were able to afford bearings, wheels, and everything else, it's almost like, okay, then it was what you could do at the time. Yeah. There was no, don't get me wrong, back then people then became very sort of individual, let me say people then had their own take on fashion. Yeah. Yeah. This is what I want. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to get to this because a fit is required, right? Yeah. It's not just, there's a performance in it. So what, break it down for me. If I break it down for you. You're going Aston or something. Yeah. What you got on? Don't worry. You're talking back then, it's Farrah's. Yo. Yeah, Farrah trousers. Yep. Even the banana yellow ones, which were, you know what I mean? You got break it, sorry, 1 second.
At this time, have we got the rainbow boots, or is it different boots?
No,
now?
different boots now. I've got the boas on. I've got the boas on now.
And what colour are they?
Boas are black.
So black Bowers.
Yeah, black Bowers.
A potential yellow Farrow trouser.
Yellow Farrows and sky blue Farrows.
Wow.
Yeah. And back then it was almost like people used to have leg warmers.
Yeah.
Leg warmers.
Yeah.
Leg warmer came over the boot
Yeah.
sort of thing. And some people went extreme with leg warmers, had massive ones.
Yeah, I remember seeing them.
And if I compared it to do you remember a program called Pigeon Street?
Yeah, of course.
Remember the legs?
Long distance car, remember?
That's how some of the leggings were. I was like, my God. You couldn't
Almost to the toes,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you couldn't see the boot.
Yeah.
You just saw leggings. And it's like, oh, I'm like, Pigeon Street.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You mean Pigeon Street? But that was the start then.
Yeah.
And then people started wearing even ski wear.
Yep.
People wear ski jumpers, jumpers are all in one with the bracers.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, people started wearing them.
Yeah.
And then cutting them down as well. And then people cut them down and put the bracers on the back of the boots. So that actually, it was like a DIY sort of thing.
It's like an expression of...
Yeah.
And were you doing that?
Yeah. We're all doing it. Because the Farrows the Farrows and stuff made it a sort of like uniform.
Yeah.
And then, but before that, it was all this individual thing coming on. This is me, and this is what I like to wear.
Yeah.
There was no allegiance to anything, no Nike, anything like that.
Yeah.
It was about what you can make of it and how you looked. But when it all come down to, can you skate?
Yeah.
If you can't skate,
Yeah.
it's not a question of you can't skate, you don't get a look in.
Yeah.
It's like you can't skate, you got to put some practice in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then those who one of the weirdest, this is one of the most extreme ones I saw was somebody had a pair of ski boots and converted them into roller skates
With a bar and
with the bar and everything else. Can you imagine ski boots? You're at the angle. He had them on, and we were like,
it's almost like high heels.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and we were like, he come down. This guy, I can't remember his name, but he came in the ski boots, and when we first saw it, we were like, man, that's a style.
Yeah.
But even then, to buy a ski boot then was, you're talking dollars. But when he came on him, it looked crisp.
So it's like you say, it's that style, and you mentioned before, like about your superpower and the kind of the swagger of it. So you're skating around, you're street skating around, but what does, in terms of like movement or whatever, what does swagger mean then at that point? Because he's still a teenager at this point.
Yeah, he was still a teenager, and because we'd be done. Because this is when I have a big crossover with ice skating.
Okay.
For me. And then there's a pause in between because I got older, I had to do YTS. Yeah. But I won't get on about that.
Oh, right, we can get to it.
£27.30 a week.
Go.
So what happened was, with the swagger sort of thing, it's like this. You could skate and you could skate long distance and everything else, not a problem and everything else, go from place to place, like Coxmore, Pool Farm and that sort of thing. Yeah. And back then, it's like you're full of energy. You know what I mean? You're full of energy, you can do anything, you can go virtually anywhere and you'll be fine. The swagger came then with like the sort of like dance skate sort of thing. But back then we weren't so much doing what you see now. Yeah. It was more like rink skating, so you go round and round and round. Yeah. But you had that rhythmic bounce. Yeah. So having that rhythmic bounce then, you have it when you skated normally. Yeah. And back then, and this is gonna sound really weird, there's no headphones. Yeah. No headphones at all. Yeah. So basically, you were skating to your own beat. Yeah. You know what I mean? Your heartbeat and everything else. No headphones, no Walkman at the time, nothing like that at all. So it was just a rhythmic skating movement of your
So this is fascinating because you're talking about when you're not in a venue, when you're out on the road, you're in the park or whatever. Yeah. So and you've got there's multiple people there, and so you've got multiple versions of what they're doing. Yeah. And so. Oh my days! So like that's fascinating because just as a concept, it's like right. And do you think does that track and that inner kind of rhythm is that dependent on your mood, or is it a certain go-to thing you would find that would find through skating, or did it change on different days? Quite a big question, I guess.
Yeah. It definitely with your mood. Yeah. Sometimes mood you don't want to skate. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you didn't skate. If most times it was more of a tranquil. Peaceful, in your own element sort of thing. When you come together, it's great. Yeah. And when you go to a venue like Coxmore Lead Centre and they're playing the music, yes, you come into your own. It comes into it. So that's okay. That's not a problem at all. But when you come to skating, I always say to people, when it comes to skating is mainly solo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're finding yourself and you find your own rhythm in your own heart, and then you take yourself onto a different level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's very majestic.
Yeah.
Very peaceful.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I say to people, you can zone out.
Almost like
You know what I mean?
meditative.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, definitely. You zone out, and when you zone out, you don't see nothing in front of you. You see yourself skating, if not, but you don't bring in any names. You don't look at anybody else.
Yeah.
You're in your own element and everything else. And isn't someone goes, "Yo, Del," and they're like, "Del," and you're like, "Huh?"
Then I'm back.
Which
is interesting, isn't it? Because even when you're doing it communally and there's a bunch of people, you do get a sense when the energy you feel is people are together and separate at the same time, but like you say, in a way that's completely accepted and equal.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of people talk about the idea of kind of escape, which is seems like quite a dramatic word. But is that a word that fits with it in terms of like going somewhere else, or does that feel too dramatic?
No, it's not dramatic at all.
No.
And it wasn't until when I'm older,
Yeah.
let's say, and I'll jump on the gun a bit, and
No,
I'm older, and I call it, and I'll see if I can't copyright it.
We'll put it on here. We'll put a little thing.
Yeah, I call it the Matrix syndrome.
Okay.
Because for my genre, if anyone saw the Matrix now, you know the Matrix is two places. You're either in real life, or you're in the Matrix and everything else. Everything's make believe and so forth. And Keanu Reeves, you can jump buildings, you can fly at the end and everything else.
Yeah.
The Matrix is skating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do anything you like.
So it's a program where you control what the possibilities are.
Yes, correct. So you do skate movements and everything else, and you're in the Matrix because you're in your own element. Yeah. So you don't see. It's very hard to picture. I've had a couple of times people say, "Oh, your flow is very, you got a great flow." You know what I mean? Like, this means your rhythm is majestic on the outside.
Yeah.
But you don't see that as a skater because you're doing it, but you're not. You're in the zone. You know what I mean? You're not looking down at your feet, because all that comes in once you are of a, let's say, level.
Yeah.
First of all, you got to get to that level first. So there's practicing, people looking down at the feet and everything else. Yeah, first of all, you got to get to that skating level. But once you're there, it opens a vast new...
It's almost like, is it like you choose what your version is?
Correct.
It's martial arty almost, like that kind of different style.
And then the styles then determined by the music.
Yeah.
And then when the music comes into it, the music takes it then to another level.
Yeah.
To the point where you can go on stupid. Yeah. Because you don't care about anything else. And people say different music takes you different places at that time in your life, sort of thing. So, of course, now you're thinking about the time when we had NWA back then and everything else. So our music genre, as an older skater, my music genre is vast. Yeah. It's massive. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I can go from Axel F to Schindler's List. Yeah. And people go, but that's classical. Yeah. I'm like, and? Yeah. I can still skate Schindler's List. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it puts you in a different emotional state. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you think about the film, but as you're skating, you're flowing with the skating, so your movements reflect the music. Wow. But because it's almost like I wish people could hear what I could hear. Yeah. To understand why I'm skating that way. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's very... Yeah, it's a shame I can't have big speakers, and so as I'm skating, people know what I'm listening to. Yeah. So that way, then, he's doing that move because it's all in sync. But when you look at it from the outside, you see someone skating, but it looks majestic and everything else. But because you don't know what they're skating to, you're half in, but you're not quite there.
It's not as immersive because it's not fully in it. Yeah. It'd be fascinating, wouldn't it, to have a thing where, I'm sure they could do it now, AI or whatever, where it was like a playlist, but it was a playlist that was mood based on your movement, and that determined what track. That's incredible. Yeah, yeah. 1 second then, because that's kind of that's as a theory, that's really interesting. It's interesting to apply it to younger. So if we go back to like late teen, at what point where you said you need to get to a level, then those choices can be made. A level of proficiency where you're a good skater before you can take it to the stylistic choices. Yes. How old were you then when you feel like you've reached that level? Were you still in your teens? Were you in your 20s at this point? When you thought to yourself, right, did you feel yourself reach a point? This
is where ice skating came into it. Okay. For me.
How?
I talked about campaigners where I went before, and I had a taste for skating. Yeah. And it never went away. Yeah. That bug was always there. And then Silverblade had a promotion on. They had these tickets. Yeah. Remember Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? And they said, get a golden ticket. Yeah, yeah. It was that. Yeah, it was that they had these tickets where if you had a blue ticket or red or like a pink ticket, you get in for something like 5p, 2p. If you had a gold ticket, you get in for nothing, right?
How did you get the tickets?
Basically, they gave them out in promotions and the envelopes and everything else, and you look in it and you get one. And we had a couple of tickets and everything else, so we went back skating. Skating is when I found another family. But back then and everything else.
And this is the ice skating rink?
This is the ice skating rink, Silver Blades.
Where was that again? Sorry.
That's Persia Road.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, Persia Road. And at the time, it was back at Digbeth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Down by the Rad Market sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I got into ice skating. Again, it's very, very similar to where you saw the guys who had already made it on the rink.
Yeah.
Because they're going around and you're like, whoa, he's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so then you say, I want to be like that. So again, practice comes into it.
How often can you go to the ice rink now? Like
right.
once a
This
week?
is where it could be overbearing. Yeah. What happened was, for me anyway, you become... you want to go skating every day sort of thing. That's what it feels like. I want to go every day, but you can't afford it.
Yeah.
So what happened then was, it's almost like, okay, we had the ticket system, which well, for a couple of months, it was great. Then they put on what they call all-dayers at the skating rink. Yeah. So you're there virtually all day. You know what I mean? And that was a great way to increase your skill set and everything else, which is brilliant. And you looked up to people then, you know what I mean? Like, my dad and mum were working very hard at home. So basically when they got home, they hadn't got time for you sort of thing. So it's almost like, okay, then this is like your second family. Yeah. And if they would take you on, the older guys there would take you under their wing. Okay. Naturally.
I was going to ask about this, because did it feel welcome? It felt welcome from the very beginning?
From the very beginning. It was like, you know, the expression where two black guys can walk in the street and look at each other and nod their heads for no reason whatsoever. They're just being polite. Yeah, man. Yeah, and that's what happened. You get the nod first, Then later on, oh, what's your name? How you doing? Where you come from? All that. Yeah. And it's like, oh, how do you do this? And they go, oh, I'll show you. Yo, you know what I mean? Like, so,
that's massive, though, isn't it?
It's for a kid. Let's say, and that time now, I'm there with my other two brothers at the same time. Yeah. Because we're like glue, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's how we got into ice skating, and they put us on their wing. We understood their tricks and everything else. That made roller skating disappear. Yeah. Because now it's all about ice skating. Yeah. Yeah. But still got the same format. Yeah. You know what I mean? The body shape, the balance, your core balance and everything else had to be there. Yeah. Discipline. You know what I mean? Like, and roller skating and ice skating makes you very, very disciplined. Yeah. Because it's not disciplined, you can't do the moves. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and people go practice. Yeah. And even now, I'm still learning, so it never stops.
But what about injuries though? Ice is deadly, man.
Ice is deadly. It is deadly, and there were some injuries and everything else. But because we are younger, it's almost like you bounce it off.
But it wasn't psychologically like it put you off. It's like this is part of it.
No, that's part of it. So that was all part of the learning. Yeah. Ice skating is hard. I mean, in my practice, ice skating is actually harder than roller skating. Yeah. In my opinion. Yeah. For the fact that one, it is ice. Yeah. It's cold. You know what I mean? Like when you drop, you really feel it. Yeah. And the same thing with the music. Back then, we had the DJ on the stage. Yeah. And you then. When they had the music on, that brings everybody, because then everybody hears the music. Yeah. There's still no Walkmans. There's no mobile phones at the time. They went around at all. Mm-hmm. So when you see the rink now, they got a DJ and everybody's going around. The music would change. Yeah. And then people's mood would change. You play something faster and the beat comes up and okay. So of course now, but with skating came status as well. Yeah. And it's almost like I'm not gonna say. Yeah, because when you reach a certain level, people then take interest of you from the opposite sex. Yeah. Yeah. The females look at you differently because now you have status. Yeah. And it's almost like you can take them around.
You have status as well.
And you know you have status.
You can feel it in there. Right.
And then we would have, at the time, I'm sorry to go about skating, but I think it's really, we had speed sessions. Yeah. Yeah. So the speed sessions was like a baptism of fire, as I call it. Yeah. Right. So the speed session, we had like a group of lads and everything else, because it wasn't with ice skating. Speed session wasn't an individual thing; it was a team effort.
Okay.
So we had people in our team who are our same age, sort of thing, our same ability.
Yeah.
So now you have our team, like 4 or 5 lads together. Then you had a couple of other teams all together, and then you had the seniors had their speed.
What, like a relay? You mean?
Like a relay thing and everything else. So if you imagine now, you had this hierarchy of the best skaters at one end, and they got like 4 or 5 guys, the best skaters.
Yeah.
So then the challenge then is during the speed session is either to match them or beat them.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a challenge in itself. Yeah. That then gave you kudos with them because they see you really trying to catch up with them and everything else. So then they see you differently now.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, young blood coming up the ranks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it's like, oh, you come up the ranks now and everything else. So when you can see now, they can see this group of lads, 4 or 5 of us, catching them up, sort of thing. And we're really going at it and everything else.
How old are you then, do you reckon?
I was about about 16, 17.
Okay.
16, 17. And that's when I was getting more mature and everything else. And that's when it started happening then. You know what I mean? Like, and then they would come up and it's like, great. Because the speed skate was like a relay, but we had what they call it, if you ever see... There's a technique, when it comes to that. One person goes round on their own, then as they're coming round, do you know the relay they have in sports? With the baton sort of thing. Yeah. But instead of facing away from instead of facing the same way as the person, you're facing towards them.
Okay.
So as they come towards you, the other person skating backwards.
Okay.
You then link hands and they pull you through.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So when but when you pull you through, that means that other person coming towards you. If I grab your hand like that, when you pull me, I'm pulling it up. You then have to do like a 360.
I was gonna say you got to flip round.
Yeah, exactly, and you do a 360 to flip round. Sorry, a 180. So
it sounds lethal to me.
It is lethal to the point where first we got to do 180 to get round halfway, and then but that momentum made you go faster.
Yeah.
And then when we got really good, we were doing 360s. Wow. So a person would pull you, and as you let go, you do the 360 that way. It was spectacular.
Yeah.
The people at the sidelines.
It's like choreography, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And you have to put trust in that person that they're going to give enough weight to you to make you can do the 360. If not, you end up being horizontal.
Yeah.
And you just when
it comes off and it's like a sequence, that must feel like the coolest thing in the world.
It is the coolest thing in the world. It's one of the coolest things in the world. One of the best feelings and everything else. And especially when you got, let's say, the A-team big men there next to you and they're doing the same thing and you're matching them.
Yeah.
So we then went up the ranks really quickly,
okay,
sort of thing. And again, that took us under the wing.
Yep.
And at the time, they were playing a sport called ice ball.
Yeah.
Ice ball is very rarely heard of now, if anything. But
I've never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Ice ball, because the rinks are owned by Mecca at the time. Mecca had all the rinks around the country. Mm-hmm. Ice ball was like basketball on ice.
Why are you putting that?
That's all I can say. Basketball on ice with a bounce, but
you
the
have to bounce it.
You have to bounce it, but the nets were it wasn't a net as in salt. It's like a cube,
okay,
with a hole each side and a hole at the front.
Oh my God!
So you bounce it as you go down, nothing else. You shoot a thing, you get that, and you throw it into the hole.
This sounds like one of
a bit like
mangas or something.
You ever heard of rollerball back in the day? That film, it's like that.
Yeah, cool.
It's like that. It's like that.
That's what I'm picturing in my head. That's like almost like gladiator type.
And
life or death situation.
And we're wearing the ice hockey equipment and everything else, except for the shorts. Our shorts are more slim and everything else. And funny enough, I'd just been cleaning the loft and I found part of my old uniform in my bag, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
I was like, I know fitting it now.
Health and safety would not allow it now, man.
No.
Ice ball.
It wouldn't go. I mean, we'd done that for about a year and a bit and everything else, but it didn't. We went for sponsorship and everything else, but it didn't come through.
Yeah.
But that's how I met, Wilbur Riley, the speed skater, world champion. Yeah. He was actually training at Silver Blades.
Oh wow!
So when he was training, and we were asked, because we'd done the speed, we were looking about why don't you try out for the speed skaters? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But we couldn't get over the lycra. Yeah. We could not get over the lycra. It's just like the spandex stuff. It's like a thing, it's like nah, boss. You know what I mean? Like, and he'd done it, and then we used to race him sometimes, nothing else. And when you say he was fast, and we were like, nah, we're fast and everything else. No, he was fast. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like one time we done a relay of 3 of us against one of him, and he still won.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He was fast.
You know when you see like you see it on the speed skate and like that crossing over
crossing
the
over,
legs and the leaning in. It's just like it's almost like a record.
Yeah.
It's like okay. So what's fascinating about that is that to me, you know, we're in Birmingham, man. We're talking Brum. We're talking Black Country. We're talking this side of it. We're talking Smethwick.
Yeah.
Ice skating and Smethwick. Yeah. And also the ice skating with people in the personal family, with Caribbean, It's such a gorgeous like smashing together of these things. It
was unreal and everything else. And that's when we done the ice sport and that didn't go as well as it planned to get sponsorship and everything else. So it died of death sort of thing. But again, it's very physical. Yeah. And again, that also encaptured the family of the skaters. Because then you had the OGs then who played ice ball were training us like with the new lads on the block in their sport. Yeah. So they were showing us how to block, how to check and everything else, which was brilliant for us. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we're like, you know, Roger Sargent and the rest of them, like, fantastic.
It's like a mentor thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. And because we're looking up to them and then now they're training us in their sport. I mean, in one way, it was like, okay, they believe in us now to be at that level, to carry on the gauntlet sort of thing. And it worked. It was brilliant and very good camaraderie. Yeah. And the races was mixed race. There wasn't, we had white guys, black guys, Asian guys. It was all. Yeah. Yeah, it was all. And because of that, there was no, let's say, there's no colour. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's no colour. It's the skaters.
Well, we're talking 80s.
Yeah.
We're talking like a bubble of something kind of gorgeous. Knowing here, the 80s, I mean, think about Handsworth, think about all the rest of it, like, it kicking off, really. Yeah. So did it feel, I wanted to ask about that kind of where, because we talk about the idea of escape before, or kind of meditative and things. When does real life, like, it must just be right there, they used to pack it into real world. It's almost were you thinking, okay, I love this. Are you ever thinking that I want to try and do something this with my life, or was it always like it felt like something that would have to be separate to real life? Do you know what I mean? What kind of things are you thinking at this point?
At the time, it was like we want to keep doing this as long as we can, sort of thing. Yeah, and like we said, the ice ball that faded away. Mm-hmm. The camaraderie was there. The guys were there, the family was there, looking at each other all the time. Yeah. We then were skating as much as we could. So we're skating on, let's start from the beginning of the week. So we're talking Wednesday evening, Friday evening, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and Sunday as well, afternoon as well. So you're talking
five times a week.
5 times a week.
And it is, so it's the centre of your life.
Yeah. It was a major.
And relationships, and you talk about, actual, like, the opposite sex, and you talk about actual relationships kind of springing from it, right? So in terms of, and you're, 60, you're late teens now. Yeah. So surely there is like questions and things about what you're going to do with your life coming into it as well. How do those two things wrestle or marry? Do you know what I mean?
It sort of, when it came to outside influences, because everything was ice hockey related, our parents, there's no pressure back then. Pressure was go to school, you go to school, and then you go to work. Yeah. When I mean, like, there wasn't, you go to college. It's like, no, you go to work. Yeah. So our parents weren't, because we weren't getting into trouble. Yeah. There's no that going on, even though it was quite easy to get into trouble. I was going to say. We're talking
3 boys as well.
3 boys. It's quite easy to get into trouble. With gangs and everything else, but the skating gave us discipline not to go down that path, and that was different. That was our family, and they made sure everybody's on the straight and narrow. And then from that turned into ice hockey. Okay. And then Birmingham got the ice hockey team back called we were the Birmingham Eagles. Okay. So I was then part of the ice hockey team.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we went from ice ball, basketball, and ice to proper ice hockey. Yeah. And we were really good at it. And we were one of the sort of diverse teams. Yeah. Because imagine that all these black phase, Asian phase. I mean, like, people they didn't know how to take it at first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But economics played a big thing then. Because ice hockey at that time was the amateur sport. Okay. You have to have money in it. Yeah. You have to have parents. If you didn't have bank and mum and dad and saying that, you find it very, very hard. But we were different back then, so we added a bit more flavour to the league and everything else, and that made a couple of eyes. It's like, so at the time we're like, So then you want to be the best ice hockey player, you can be, because it's a different discipline.
Yeah, but who's in goal? With like the full on samurai. Like,
what it was, there was what's that? Butler was the name of the guy who coached done it, sort of thing, and he was one of the biggest investors into him, and his son was a goalkeeper and everything else.
Okay.
We didn't want to be a goalkeeper.
No, I was going to say
we wanted to be all out players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and some of the guys who were quite big became defensemen.
Yeah.
And everything else. So we had a bit of reputation of defensemen and strike force.
But you're not like sin binning and fighting and stuff though, are you? Like slap shot things like.
No. But in terms of fighting on the ice, yeah. Very, very rare.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
In terms of ice hockey skill set, very good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Different. And because we're starting late, you got to think a lot of these other guys who in other ice hockey teams start when the babies on there. We started in our teens.
Yeah.
So all this is new to us. I mean, like slap shot, we're like, what? You know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of training going on. You know what I mean? Like,
but the combination of speed and swagger in a team sport, you must have felt like kings of the world.
Oh, it was king of the world. At the time, it was king of the world, and we had people had certain reputations. You know what I mean? Like people could score goals. Other people were very good at defending. You know, I mean, my brother, his name is Kenneth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the time of ice skating, everything, his name changed. Yeah, he had a nickname, and he's called Shadow. Yeah. And they called him Shadow, because when he's playing ice hockey, you didn't see him coming.
Always behind you.
Always behind you. And when he hit you, it's like, what the hell? And they call it Shadow.
Yo.
You know what I mean? Like, and everything. And people got, no, because he's darker. No. It's because I said, when he hits you, you don't know it's coming. And he hits you very, very clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's his name was Shadow.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, and people got, and he's 6 foot.
Okay.
So it's at a time he's probably up 5'9" sort of thing. So he's a tall lad.
Yeah.
For him to bend down and check somebody out and everything else, it's like stealth.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, so we were known as a very forceful defensive team.
Yeah.
Because we like to hit people, but it's just the fact that
people didn't want to play.
And because we weren't very good at shooting as such, shooting, but we're very good at defense, at stopping people. You know what I mean? Like, so we had a couple of years of that.
What were the uniforms like? Can you remember? Like, what did it look like?
Oh God, it was all red and blue and white sort of thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's a Birmingham colours, a bit like the football team, sort of thing. And there was the I'm trying to think now, Birmingham Eagles, and I'm not sure if it was was it Seahawks? Something like that, you know what I mean? It's a playoff. Because we had the A team and the B team, and we were the B team, sort of thing. And the aim was to get into the A team.
Yeah.
And some was to play A team games. Okay. And that's when they played not in the big league sort of thing at the time.
Yeah.
And then there was a scout for England.
Oh.
And he came down to Birmingham and he saw one of the matches or something. And then next thing you know, there was an invitation for some of us to become, England under 21s. This is.
Yeah.
And it was like great. We were like, oh, and I was one of them. Yeah. And I was like, my God, this is fantastic.
I was going to say, but that's like a thing.
It is. And then it's then you start thinking sponsorship and whatnot. Yeah. And then I think there was a piece in the paper about it because it was there's about 4 of us, this sort of thing, who were chosen to go to this, like, it's like a training session, and they look at sort of thing, how you doing?
Yeah, like a trial.
Yeah, trial. And unfortunately, and this is when I talk about economics,
right?
Is you haven't got bank of mum and dad.
Yeah.
Ice hockey was at the time an amateur sport, so you needed people to pay for travel, accommodation.
I was going to ask about this.
And when they came to Birmingham, that was okay because it was in Birmingham, and then we had another training session in Telford, so we can make the Telford rink, sort of thing. But then they told us, the next one's in Ayr.
Scotland.
Yeah, and they said, well, you have to pay your own travel, accommodation, everything else. That time I'm working, white chest and everything else. Yeah. There's no way I could do it. So we had, and by default, we had to forget that dream.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to say that because it's almost like, what if moment?
Of course.
And even now it sort of pains me to say, what if I could have done it? But at the time, because when all that was kicking off, I was now living. We left home by then. Mm-hmm. I was living with my 2 brothers in a flat in Newtown.
Okay.
So it was like, Newtown, no, there's no way I could to afford to do that and everything else. So we had to give it up, sort of thing.
And was that a thing where it's like, right, you have each other and you've got to kind of like put that aside, but did it make you want to leave it alone completely? Or was it more just in terms of the sport? Did you still feel, were you angry about, and did it make you like...
No, we weren't angry, but it was almost like, that's just the way it is.
Oi.
And some of the other guys who got picked and everything else had bank of mum and dad.
Yeah.
But it was obvious, though, that's just the way it is now. And even from our OGs who were still there, turned around and said, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they even said, it's a white man's sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just that we never... you just carry on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because there's no point in crying over spilt milk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Still got to live, still got to carry on doing what you're going to do.
No, for
so,
sure.
And we're still skating.
Yeah.
So we still carried on ice skating and everything else, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
But I guess what I'm saying is, I'm asking is, like, it didn't, like, sour your feelings or relationship with it?
No, not at all, no.
Okay, that's fascinating. Because that's like... It was already deeper than... This was the thing that would have been amazing, but it was already deeper than what there is anyway.
It's almost like, it could have been that, but it isn't. Make the best of what you've got.
Yeah.
And we're coming from an age where basically you grasp opportunities, but you understand realism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We understood the real world at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't as if, boo-hoo is me. Blah, blah. No, there's no crying, because no time for crying. You've got to go to work.
Yeah. You're saying an age plays... if you were 5 years younger or something, it might have been more to kind of deal with or whatever else. Yeah. So you're coming into adulthood, right? And so, but was it still very much ice skating and roller skating wasn't even in the frame at this point? Was it even? It
was
because you're still late teens at this point,
still
right?
late teens. If not, I'm coming up to like my. I say in my 20s sort of thing, sort of like 20, 21 sort of thing. Yeah, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
So with that, it's almost like, okay, then I still have my skating family.
Yeah.
And everything else. That never changed.
So work week,
skating,
whenever there's a chance to skate.
Skate and everything. And that was my life, more or less. Yeah. You know what I mean? Work, skate. Mm-hmm. Then the skating rink closed down. And then people were like, well, what the hell?
Yeah.
And that was a big...
When would that be? Can I try and place it in the timeline? God. When would that be? Was that late 80s? Because I've got a feeling...
Yeah, it's like or like mid-90s, something like that.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, so around there. It was... I don't know exactly when it all kicked off, but we were told the rink's closing and...
and it was a financial thing?
As far as we're aware, the financial thing, there's nothing can be done and everything else, so... Went to the final session and that sort of thing, and people said, goodbyes and whatnot and everything else. Man. But then we said, well, we want to keep skating. So the only rink then was Solihull. Yeah. But Solihull and Telford sort of thing. Telford's a bit much to get to. We're talking M54 sort of thing, 22 miles. I remember that, 22 miles, Telford. Yeah. And so it's more like to go to Solihull because we had the Silverlink bus then, 900.
Okay.
Yeah, back then, so bus fare like that.
Still far though.
It's still far. But again, it wasn't the same as Silver Blaze, but we tried our best. And one of the biggest eye-openers when we went to Solihull and then we came out and there was a load of police waiting outside for us. Yeah. And it wasn't the fact that the neighbours or something said something and the police come down. And it's almost like they were expecting trouble.
For sure, man.
But we came at the rink and we walked down to the bus stop. Yeah. And that's all we're doing. But we had like a police escort down to the bus stop. Yeah. So again, that then, and it wasn't, we're not blaming the rink. You know what I mean? It wasn't the rink. You know what I mean? We spoke to the manager and he goes, it had nothing to do with them. Because we went there a couple of times because we played ice hockey. Yeah. And they had a Solihull balance.
But it has a demographic, right?
Exactly.
It's a very different thing.
So demographic kicks in and it's like, well, we're not from around here. And so that tainted it and everything else. But as a family of skaters, we still then stayed together. Yeah. You know what I mean? To the point where after skating, we go and play football or something. Yeah. Up by, I'm trying to think, what were they playing there? It's up by Cannon Hill. Okay. Sort of thing. So we played football for a couple of hours afterwards session. But again, all the lads, the girls, everybody on the bus, had this family feel and everything else. And
in that group then, because we talked earlier a bit about status, and kind of like you think like, are there kind of people who are not leaders? Maybe is the wrong word, but people who are going to organise stuff, or were there people showing themselves, or was it just a free for all?
Oh no, there was leaders in there, influencers. They call them now.
Okay.
Let's call them now. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was, and again, that was. It wasn't a case of who shouted the loudest was heard. It was a case of, if someone made sense, they're not taken on board. One of the from the team perspective, because we played ice hockey, we had the players sort of thing. The players themselves, we still stuck together sort of thing afterwards. So of course you had your captains and you had the leaders of each. Because with ice hockey, it's like 5 at a time on the ice, and you have a leader, the centre, and everything else. So when it came to the sort of hierarchy of what happened afterwards.
Yeah.
One of the biggest influences was a guy called Roger Sargent.
Right.
Yeah. And we just celebrated his 60th birthday about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that's when Danny as well.
I was going to say, yeah.
And Danny and them lot. So we would look up to them as, it's almost like a father figure.
Yeah.
Because when we go home, our dad's chilling, resting. He's had hard days working. Didn't have time for us basically.
Yeah.
But those guys who are 60 now, well, not 60 now,
Yeah.
but back then they were seen as, the sort of guys who looked after you in trouble. So we said, again, no mobile phones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah. So there's no pictures and everything. There's a couple of early pictures, but they're very hard and few between.
Yeah.
So in that respect, the older guys looked after us and said, well, okay, we're meeting here, or if you need me, I'll be there. And I mean, so we still kept in contact in that respect.
And that's when, because the rink is shut and the distance and the kind of barriers for that, that's when roller skating starts to come
back.
And so,
Yes.
so if that's coming back now, where were the spots at that point then, please?
Right.
We're talking like early 90s or whatever.
We're talking in the 90s. We're talking...
Because also I'm thinking about all the music. I'm thinking about music and film and fashion at that time.
Yes. You then have to have a big gap in between, because then it's what I call family time.
Yeah.
Right. So back then I got with my partner and everything else.
Mid-90s?
Yeah, mid-90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're still together now. Thank you, Denise.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's about family back then.
Yeah.
So skating then took a back seat.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
So let's if we rewind a sec. So the rink shuts.
Yeah.
Family is family, like in terms of the skating family.
Yeah.
You go, right, okay, we can't do this. We're going to roller skate.
Yeah.
So you skated, and then quite soon after that, real family comes in, biological family, right?
Comes in, yeah.
But become father. So and was that very much? Did it feel like a kind of hanging up of the boots for now, or was it just by default? Like
it's just by default,
Yeah.
and everybody then was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Some people had careers.
Yeah.
One of my friends down in Chiswell, he now lives in Dubai.
Okay.
He's done really, really well.
Yeah.
But it's those things. You
Real life,
yeah.
unquote, yeah.
You're out of the matrix now. You're back in real life now. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's almost like, because we're still kept in touch.
Yeah.
As skaters, and we still keep in touch now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's never going to change.
Yeah.
But we then say, okay, then I need to get this on board. I got to do this for my family. I got to do this. I got to go to work.
Yeah.
So that became the main focus then.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
But you didn't throw skates away as such.
Didn't throw skates away as such.
Right.
And everything else. I did try to go back to do a bit of skating, but it wasn't the same.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
How so? What do you mean by that?
I went to Solihull a couple of times on my own and that sort of thing.
Oh, right.
But in Telford a couple of times, and we tried to meet up. We tried to do like hangouts, or we're all going, and a couple of times we're all going to Telford, we all meet up, fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it wasn't the same. So, but you can see then how people had aged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in a way that... now, when I say aged, I'm not saying aged in the physical sense.
Yeah.
I'm saying aged in the mental sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So you see how they're doing now. Or I'm doing this. I'm a manager. I'm this. I got a couple of kids.
Yeah.
The girls. I'm doing this. Because
Life fills up.
life fills up. But as a, let's say, physical state, you know, some people say, "Oh, you haven't changed."
Yeah.
That's what it's like. You haven't changed.
Yeah.
You can still see the youth in their eyes and everything else. They hadn't changed. You know what I mean? Like, and of course, then the stories come out about what happened back in the day, and we're like these old men talking about the good old days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, around a campfire. That's something missing, the campfire.
Yeah.
But we just kept it going. We said, how people are doing. We skated, talked about people's lives, their family, how it's expanding, the good times, the bad times, and then that went few and far between. You know what I mean? Like, you're still in contact, but not with everybody and everything else. Facebook was a great place to sort of get in touch with people. Okay. So Facebook was a main structure of just keeping in touch.
So like,
you know what I mean?
early 2000s now, or into the 2000s,
into
like
2000s,
post-millennium, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you've got like groups, like reminiscing, or
the skating group, and the skating one's still there now.
Yeah.
It hasn't stopped and everything. And I'm posting there sometimes, and they post, and it's great to see how people are, still doing, growing up. We understand Wilbur Riley, his career, what happened to him.
Yeah.
So we're all behind him at the time and everything else. Like, he's one of ours. You know what I mean? He's one of our lads. So, even if they forget about us, it's like, we won't forget about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because that was part of our youth growing up. You know. So we had the kids, and it's like, Yeah, couldn't. Yeah, then I taught my son how to ice skate. You know what I mean? Like,
so this is. I was going to say there are. If you're going to put flags in the timeline of when important moments, that kind of like I'm almost like I get to go into it via somebody else now. That's massive, isn't it? Like that.
Yeah.
So how old would your son have been when you're like, you know what? Were you waiting? Were you like chomping at the bit, or did it come quite naturally? Like
it came quite naturally, sort of thing. And he's only a kid, and I took a video of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I still got it now, and I put it on YouTube. Yeah. At the time, I didn't know how YouTube worked, but I just posted it, and it's still there now.
Wow.
And it must have been about 8 or 9, or something like that. So he's going back, and
did he know you had a relationship to these things?
Yes.
Did he see like boots around the house and things?
Oh yeah. He knew. And because the lads came around to the house as well, and he heard the stories about us skating, and he goes, "I'd love to see you guys. I'd love to be around you guys when you're skating." And then when he had a chance to go, we went skating with them. I took the whole family, sort of thing. Yeah. We went skating, and he looked, and he saw me going around, and you can see now. Yo. It wasn't a myth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and he's watching me, so I'm looking at him. So I done bust a couple of moves. You know what I mean? Like saying,
how cool! Look at my dad going.
And of course, you get the people say about validation, sort of thing in your artwork. Yeah. And I was getting validation from the people watching me skate because they're like, man. He's cool. He's cool. And it's swagger. And then see my son watching me. And he's like, yeah, Dad, you're a good skater. Wow. And I was like, yeah, I know I am. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
it means something from you.
When it comes from your own son, it's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, thanks, me boy. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, yeah. And because when I skated, it took me about 5 minutes to get back into it. Yeah. I was telling people, you never lose it. Yeah. It's like going back it's like riding a bike. Yeah. You never get how to ride a bike. It might be wobble the first 15 minutes, but afterwards, like, oh, is that it? Yeah. And that's what happened. It was like, oh, okay. My son's older, I was skating. I said, well, I couldn't afford to go skating, in the evenings and everything else. And I thought, you know what, let me see. Oh, I tell you what happened. The rink got bought by somebody else, and I tried to bring it back.
Okay.
Yes.
When that happened? Isn't it in the timeline?
That's in the 2000s. Someone bought the rink, and I tried to bring it back, but it didn't work. That's when they put a bowling alley underneath the rink as well.
Oh, to try and maximise.
To try and maximise space. So, but it didn't really work, and that's where my son saw me skating was when it came back in, and we thought, we'll come back. And because we went back to the rink, it had lost its essence. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, they changed colours a bit and everything else, and we were like, no, it's not. But we didn't, as lads, we didn't go back there. Yeah, you know what I mean. As the pack of skaters, we didn't really link back into it as such because it's two different owners and everything else, and so we didn't really get into it. Yeah. But that's why I showed my son how I skate and everything else, and then that got me back to, I think it's 2007. Okay, around that time, and the passion for skating had never gone and everything else, and I saw somebody. I saw inline skates. Yeah. I can't remember whether I saw it on TV. I actually saw someone doing it. Yeah. But I was like, oh, skating, inline skates, like ice skates.
It's like the two worlds. So
the two worlds come back together again. Yeah. It's like going full circle. Yeah. So, and when it came to skating back then, I didn't know where to start. Yeah. Because when I went into my loft to get my boots out, I still had my boas in the loft. Yeah. So I found them and I dug them out. Yeah. But as I picked them up, remember that back then boa was made out of plastic. Yeah. And as I picked them up, they disintegrated in my hands like parchment.
I've had it with trainers.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And the more I gripped it, the more it fell apart.
It's like the matrix is slipping away.
And all I had left was basically the plates and the wheels, and it had American flags. And I was like, well, where do I start now? You know what I mean? Like, I said, do I do what I done when I was a kid, get a pair of boots and convert them, but I like the inline skating. Yeah. So I said, well, where do I start? So didn't know where to start. So I went to Decathlon. Okay. At Maryhill. Right. And they had inline skates there. Yeah. That time I'm a total novice, so I saw a pair of size 8s or 9s and I put them on. They fitted, and I was like, "Whoa, a bit wobbly." And I thought, I'm gonna have them. You know what I mean? Like, only a couple of quid, nothing overly expensive. Yeah. So I bought them, went into local park, started skating.
Just you?
Just me.
Yo,
Just me.
and do you tell anyone that's
No.
happening? No. This is purely, I want to get my skills.
This is me saying, let me dip my toe into this to see if I like it.
Amazing.
And I dipped my toe in it, and I did like it. But that time, I knew nothing about skate genre, as in skate materials, skate ethics with inline skates.
Okay.
I knew nothing about it. I just went up to the shop, bought some inline skates, put them on my feet, went to the park, little so had some padding as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting older now, so I had some padding and stuff. Tried it out, and I thought, oh yeah, this ain't much different than when I was ice skating. Yeah. Then it must have been about a year of skating like that sort of thing, and
all on the quiet.
All on the quiet. Yeah, nothing on my own in the parks, and I was going up to Somerville Park, Dartmouth Park, in the sandbar, just doing myself and everything else, doing little bits and everything else, and then it was my sister. Who also skated, sort of thing, and she came to the skating rink at the time with her siblings as well.
So she was back in the original.
Oh yeah,
crew.
she's back in the original crew. My sister Margaret. Oh yeah. Right. So now there's like four of us: Margaret, myself, Ken, and Charles. Right. So it's like a family affair of skaters, and because we were together, that helped our parents not worry.
Yeah.
That you and your brother, you're all together, you're in the same place, so they had no issues. Like I said before, with what's going on. So. Went to Dartmouth Park a couple of times, and then my sister joined us with her.
Was she in line as well? Was she the 4-wheel?
She was the 4-wheel with the quads, and her boyfriend at the time, Carl, quads as well, sort of thing. Carl as well was from the old school skaters from the rink.
Okay.
As well, so.
Wow, these bonds are strong.
The bonds are very strong.
Yeah.
But then you see, then we linked up with a crew of original skaters who have been skating and not ice skaters. You know what I mean? Like, so when they come along, and if not, skaters are skaters.
Yeah.
There's no, no, I'm not going to,
Yeah.
There's no barriers there at all. So that's when I said, well, I need to learn about inlines and everything else. And that's when I found out I made a bigger mistake everybody does at the beginning.
What's that?
Took boots off the shelf without even thinking about it.
Okay.
And when it comes to inline skates, there's different ranges, there's different styles of inline skates.
Okay.
Which I knew, at the time, I knew nothing about.
Well, how would you? Like...
Exactly. Quad skating.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 wheels, boom, not a problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, inline skating is different.
Break it down for me then. So
right.
What we got?
The boots I had at the time were classed as recreational skates, which means they had a longer frame.
Okay.
And a brake at the back. And they're made for park recreational skating, as in skating round parks.
Yeah.
I'm skating around parks, but I'm doing tricks and I'm going backwards in these boots and everything else, which they're not made really to do as such, but I knew none the wiser. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I took my brake off and I was gone. Yeah. And because they're a longer wheelbase, they're made, it's almost like when you have your stride, you get a better stroke. Yeah. So you go further in the stride, because it's fitness skating, basically, what I had on. Then there's what you call freestyle skates. We have a shorter frame. Yeah. And the freestyle is when you see people do the slalom skating in between the cones. Yeah. That's
quick
slalom.
Turning,
that's slalom skating. And then you had the we call the hardcore ones, as in the what do you call it now? The jump skates, aggressive skates. Okay. They're the ones with little wheels, and they're in the skate parks, and they've got the ramps.
Okay.
Tricks. Yeah, they've got the little wheels and everything else. That's it. And their boots are really thicker to take the knocks and everything else, and do the grinds. Yeah. So there's them boots. So I then headed for what? Okay, it's like saying, okay, then which one of these three? I was a slalom skater, freestyle. Right. And with that, opened up a whole new world for me now. Because when I got my first pair, I got them from Belgium. Yeah. And they were Ciba boots.
1 second. Yeah. So you're like, I'm doing this properly. I've got to import some bad boy boots.
I've got to look to invest in, so what can I get?
And they rock up to the house and you open them up?
Oh, yeah. Went to the house. And I was like, okay. I was like, this is good. And because I'm going off, they're very similar to ice skates sort of thing, you know what I mean? But these are hardcore plastic all over. Mm-hmm. And Ciba at the time was one of the biggest brands to go for. So of course you're taking a guess about your sizing, what to go for, mentioning how to fit, you're not going to hurt your feet, how to break them in and everything else. So you got to go through all that pain. Mm-hmm. And then there's more to learn after that.
Like what?
No, I mean, like, because on a Ciba boot and everything else, and on the freestyle boots, you can change the angle of the frame.
Oh wow.
underneath, so you can change the angle of the frame. You can take it out, bring it in.
Yeah.
The ankle cuff has like 3 different levels of locking. So you lock it that level, or that level, sort of thing. So it's that to understand. Yeah. And then there's no brakes on these either. Yeah. So you have to now have to stop properly. Yeah. That's a very steep learning curve.
That's good. But I can see. Sorry to interrupt you again, but like, I can see by your face that the project of the research and going in is something that excites you, and was really something that excites you back. So it's almost kind of like a It's you're going in again. But this time you've got the means to get what you want.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
I'm in a better place to understand, to buy stuff and everything else. But again, I'm a bit of a skinflint. I like the sales. Yeah. So I look for the sales and everything else and buy stuff in the sales. Yeah. My first seat boots were sort of being £400 and I got them for 200. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I know, like, so I'll have them in the sale. Yeah. PayPal was about. You know what I mean? Like, you know, back then PayPal come into it and it's like, oh, PayPal, I'm safe. I can buy things from abroad. Yeah. And then even the way you could buy normal ice hockey boots, and they'd be converted into inlines. Yeah. But the trouble is that I found was if you crack what they call the heel at the back, you then start. So you want to skate true, as in straight parallel. Yeah. And then if you crack the back of the heel, you go like that.
Okay. So it pushes you on your ankles.
That's right. It pushes on your ankles, and a lot of people then will skate like that for years, not knowing that they're putting pressure on the ankles and everything else. And then when they put on a proper boot, straight boot again, it hurts because now they've been being forced back straight. But I called it very similar to, like, you know, back the Chinese had when they bound the feet of the girls. Yes. It's like that. It's like that sort of pain. No. So understanding that now, these boots I have for what they call the FRS R80s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, pure hard plastic, so they force your ankles straight. Yes. You know what I mean, like, which is brilliant for me. Yeah. Because then when I'm skating now, I can give full force into it and not worry about the buckling. Yeah. And everything else. So that I've stuck to it.
But like you were saying, it was interesting because we said one of the things you said really early on was right. For me, ice skating was the thing, and like roller skating, ice skating. So did this feel, or does this feel like the best of both worlds in a way?
That's what I'm going to come to next. Yeah. Sorry. No, it's fine. It's fine. Oh. It is the best of both worlds because, if not better. Yeah. Because now I've got the freedom back of roller skating, but I'm doing inlines, sort of thing. Yeah. By adjusting, once I understood the mechanics of the inlines and even the wheels, because then you can change the wheels to make them feel like ice skates. Right. Because you can change, if you change the...
what do you mean in terms of the pressure?
You see, imagine now, most people, when they buy inline boots, say all my size now, the boots are 80 centimetres all the way across. Okay. So you got 4 80s and everything else. Mm. If you imagine now, an ice skate is curved. Yes. Yeah. So it goes out and it goes out and then back up again. Yeah. So for inline skating, to get that effect, what you do is, if you got 80s in the middle, the two outer ones, you got 76. Yeah. So now you get that.
You get that natural curve.
So then now you're getting very close to how it feels ice skating. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. But I had to read upon that in order to understand it, to make it see sense. Order the rules. Oh yeah. And then as soon as you put it on, it's an instant change. Yeah. It's instant. It's like chalk and cheese. You feel that you turn the same way at ice skating, and it's not exactly, but it's as close to you're going to get it. Yeah, man. And because I've done that, my mind blew then, and I was like, I'm doing tricks now. And that time now, I got the cones out. I'm doing the cone work. And
where was this? In the park still?
It's still in the parks now, and this is all Dartmouth Park and everything else. I'm mainly in. And that time now, my sister and my brother come back to it, and my brother, now my brother-in-law, he's in the car. They're all doing it and everything else. So in the parks then, and then there's a couple of us in the parks doing it now. Yeah. And then we did the con, and it's just a case of now we've got the music now. Yeah. We're in headphones and you're zoning out. Yeah. And that's what I talked about, the Matrix syndrome. That's for me, that's when it came in. Yeah. When I had a pair of headphones on. Yeah. And then I'm gone.
And you've basically, what you've done is you've catered your experience to your specific. Yes. You've made it yours. Yeah. The people who come in, they've got their own versions of it. Yeah. But it's all like that sense of, whether it's escape, whether it's like it must have felt like coming home or something.
Oh yeah. It's full circle. It's almost like to the point where, you know, weekends I'm going skating. My partner, she doesn't skate. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, which is fine. It's not her forte and everything else. My son, he skates now, and now he roller skates now. Yeah. Not as often as I'd like him to do it, but he's still got the vibe there and everything else. Yeah. But yeah, doing that, I always say to people, it's almost like at the time then it was seasonal. Yeah. So when it's nice and sunny, bang, you're out there and everything else. When it's cold, no, you're not doing it and everything else unless you're really hardcore skater. Yeah. And you can skate in the rain. This is a myth. You can skate in the rain, but you skate differently. Yeah. That's all it is. Yeah. I've tried. It's like definitely skate differently. But at the time then, it was like I was skating mainly in Dartmouth Park by they got a cenotaph up there sort of thing. Yeah. So we had the headphones on, but skating, not causing. There's no trouble. And that time I'm an adult now. Yeah. You know, I've got kids of my own and everything else. So I skate when I can.
And this is, are we saying this is like late 2000? Like, is this pre-2010 or was it before? Because you said like with the inlines was 2007.
About 2007. So this is carry on from then. Okay. Sort of thing. And then I had various inlines, and I bought new inlines, and I was into it.
This is what I was going to say, because it's like a shop, but when you land on something, the options are there. Yeah. How could you not get variations and get like? Yeah.
And this is when the influence of social media came into it. Yeah. So now we've got YouTube now, and you see the videos, and it's like, my God, so many different people doing it, and it's like, yeah, it's great. But then I could not decide, because I then tried some quad boots back on, quad skates back on. Right. And it was then I couldn't decide which is my preference. So I said to people now, I don't have a preference. I like both. So
can you give me a sense of like what the strengths of each one of them are? Why it's hard to choose? Do you see what I mean? Because it must feel, to my mind, as an unexperienced person, it must feel very different. Like, I imagine, like you say, a line with a curve, feeling more like ice skating, and that to me was more scary.
Yes. Yeah.
But maybe even faster. I don't know.
It is faster. Okay. It's faster. It's all faster. They were lighter back then, and the thing is, because I'm used to ice skating for so long, it felt more natural to have the inline boots on. Yeah. Because back in my early years, I had quad boots when I was a kid. So I was still able to conform. Yeah. So I could. And it's what I call people say no, you're ambidextrous. Yeah. But for me, it's like that. Okay. I can go in either boot. Yeah. But I like either boot. Yeah. And sometimes I skate with one boot of each on.
No way.
Yeah. When I'm what I call a transition stage.
Oh, shock. So 1 second. Which does it matter? Which either one? Like,
either one.
Is that a mood? Is that looking at the terrain you're going to be doing it on? What affects that decision then? Why not? Or is it like?
No, that it is the mood, and it's sort of the dynamics of the skate, because when you mainly have, it's very hard to jam in inlines. Yeah. Inlines, it's very, if you imagine a figure skater, that's inline skating. Okay. And slalom skating, in and out the cones, that's another inline skate. Yeah. And the girl, fun fact named Vanessa, she's brilliant. Yeah. And so when you do that, that's fine, but that's restricted. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you can do a sort of jam skate in inlines, but sometimes it looks a bit quirky. Yeah. Yeah. So because I want the best of both worlds, I said, well, if I want to do the jam skating, then I have to wear quad skates. Yeah. So then I said, okay, then I'll just wear quad skates when the mood takes me. Yeah. Yeah. So I put on quad skates, and then when we talked about the coming together of everybody, and back then we had the parks and everything else, so you had a mix of inline skaters, quad skaters, sort of thing. But when it came to like the rhythmic part of it, it was like that's the quad skater domain. Yeah. So then I said, well, I want to be part of that, so I used my quad skates. Mm-hmm. So it's just a question of just change the boots over. Yeah. So I will skate in one quad, one inline, go down, up and down, and get in what I call the transition phase of each one. Or could stay in it forever, doesn't really matter. Yeah. You know what I mean? And people look at your strength like...
I was going to say, remember the guys you talked about who turned up with the boots on for the first time with the heels? Yeah. Talk about swagger. Talk about looking like, people might think it's a gimmick, but then when they see you move, yo.
And then when they understand, I'm saying to no, I say to people, how can so I'm transitioning. Yo. And they go, oh, it makes sense. You know, and people who skate understand that. Yes. You're transitioning. Some people can hop straight into inlines and things, but I said, no. I've got to get, because your whole central balance is different for each style, sort of thing. So I said, well, I want to get my mindset ready to change, because one of the worst things you can do is change too quick, and then you have an accident or you fall over because your mindset is still with inlines and not quads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the same vice versa. Yeah. But if I want to say, if I'm having a good day sort of thing, and I want to zone out completely sort of thing, I can do that quicker in inlines than I can with quads. Yeah. And that's because it's a flowing movement sort of thing. So if you think about skating in itself, for me, when you're flowing skating, that means you got a bit more, and you got a bit more distance, a bit more pace. You're doing bigger curves, bigger arches, and for me, that's inline skating. Yeah, you know what I mean, like, but you need a good space to do it. I was going to say you need more room. But the mindset is different for that. Yeah, and that's what comes into it. And when you got music on, it changes you straight away. Yeah, when it comes to the rhythmic skating and everything else, and they sort of coming together, a uniformity of people. That's a quad skate sort of thing. Yeah, and a lot of people say, oh, you're either one or the other, yeah? So that's all I say, yeah? Other people turn around and say, oh, don't go to the dark side. Yeah. We're talking Star Wars here now. Yeah. And the dark side is in lines. No. I was
going to say there's a stigma for some people.
Yeah. They go, no, don't. You got don't go to the dark side. Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's just that I like both. You know what I mean? Which is fine.
I'm Jedi and Sith.
Yeah, I'm Jedi and Sith. And they go, it's fine for me, and I'm like, yeah, but then it's almost like because the group dynamics then at Camden, we're in Dartmouth Park at the time, and it's building up. We've got a couple of people there, you know what I mean, about 6 or 7 people in the park on the weekends, because now we're all adults, we're all working in the week, so we like meet up in the weekend and we do our own thing, and then we go home for Sunday dinner, basically.
Yeah. Makes sense.
You know what I mean? Makes sense. So and then some of the other ice skaters, they have inline boots. Some of them not wearing all the time, but they have them. It's almost like they're there in the background. You know, if I need them, I will take them out, sort of thing. You know, but it turned more into like a quad skiing sort of thing. I have seasons where one season I wear a load of inlines, next one I wear a lot of quads, because I have no loyalty to either. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just the way I feel at the time.
No, completely.
My bag's a bit bigger because
for sure.
I'm like heavier.
For sure. So from that time to kind of now, I think, when did Cannon Hill become a thing then? Because that's the other sides, man.
It's a simple let's say simple answer to that. Okay. Yeah. Cannon Hill came about because of my brother-in-law, Carl, who's then married to my sister, lives on that side of Birmingham. Oh, yeah. So Cannon Hill Park was close for him. Then Dartmouth, that's the answer.
I'm so glad I'm so glad it was to do with real life and real people, as opposed to it being like something being kicked off something where it's like, no. It was logistics, right?
It's logistics and everything else.
Oh, man.
Okay, it's as simple as that.
So it's like, okay, so then sometimes we need to get him to reach over this side, and
vice versa.
Go, okay. Yeah. So I guess what's fascinating about that is because I'm from this side.
Yes.
I now live over that side.
Yeah.
And it's completely different feel to it is over here, and what I kind of knew. But what's interesting about that is like people over there, skaters in Cannon Hill, is like there's a thing. It's people they see it and they go, right, yeah, I see them all the time. I see the skaters. They're aware of that community. Yeah. Right. Has it been a gradual growth?
Yes, it's been a gradual growth from both sides, because what happened was, Dartmouth Park became a thing, and people were skating at Dartmouth Park. Yes. The dynamics changed, and that people lived by Cannon Hill, so they started going Cannon Hill. And then it's more like a fitness thing to begin with. Some of the guys were going around doing circus around Cannon Hill Park. Yeah. It wasn't to do with jam skating back then. Later on, it became gathered up. And just about people's dynamics, because we have people who come to Dartmouth Park, people who come to Cannon Hill. Yeah. Because we have people who are from both sides. Yeah. Myself, I'm Carl, we have that. It was like, okay, we're linking Cannon Hill or we're linking Dartmouth. Yeah. And then we started to migrate to Cannon Hill. Yeah. Sort of thing. So Dartmouth was still around, sort of thing, but it's more Cannon Hill. And then the big old, one of the biggest influences was COVID. Yeah. When COVID kicked in, and we were told, you couldn't come together. But this is after, when we were allowed out for exercise. Yeah. We were skating. Yeah. That was our exercise. Yeah. So it's almost like, okay, we're out, we're still in the park and everything else, but we were allowed to be there. And that's when we have what we call the COVID skaters came out. Yeah. So then we had a lot of people who then couldn't go to work. the craving to do something, and then I had a load of what I call cover skaters came in, and that boosted the whole dynamics of the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we went crazy.
Did it feel like to you, because, we talked earlier about the first time I met you and we chatted briefly in the park, you talked about that thing of going like, right, there's a respect, it's open, you want to have a go. That openness and that welcoming, and you talked earlier about being taken under the wing of the OGs back in the day for you. Did that feel like very much like it was what your role was, and you were happy to take on that role of kind of letting people in, or did it feel like something was changing for the worse or the better? What was? Do you know what I mean? It was taking on the role sort of thing, because it's almost like seeing people who are struggling. Yeah. And this is like it's a personal trait. Yeah, I was going to say, because not everybody.
No, not everybody does it, and people, not everybody wants to do it. Mm-hmm. But for me, if I see someone struggling, and I can help them out, and I said, well, try doing this.
Yeah.
And by that openness, then you see people smile on their face, and some people, well, most of them are quite, let's say, happy to have your input.
Yeah.
And like, oh, thanks for that. And I'm trying that for ages, and then you have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's how it all started. Mm-hmm. It's just like people came along, they tried a bit, and then they come and ask us questions.
Yeah.
And we said, yeah, not a problem. And there was no there's no lying down, there's no differences. It was all like we're all the same. No issues with that at all. I think, and then we found out that there's a lot of older skaters, but it works twofold.
Yeah.
The first part is we had a lot of younger skaters came and everything else, so we're helping them out.
Yeah.
So they're developing, like when I was first started skating, so they're like me back then. Yeah. So they're developing and everything else. Great. And then you had people who were older skaters who said, oh, I used to skate, blah, blah, blah. And we say, just buy yourself a pair of boots and have a go. And they come along. And then we found that there's a lot more older skaters doing it. Yeah. Because they used to skate from before.
So even people that you didn't even know from before, it was just people who skated wherever they were.
Yeah, and they came along, and it's like that. And then they heard about, Camden Hill Park, there's got some skaters there. So then people went, let me have a look at this group, sort of thing. And again, there was some, let's say, not anti-skaters, but because there's at the time, there's a lot of what I call food traffic through the park. Yeah. People walk. We were always mindful of people walking in the park. Yeah. It was never our park. No. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we're here, so we avoid everybody else. But again, we had other people. There's a lot of cyclists as well going around, and the cyclists cause a lot of hassle because some of the guys riding around too fast. Yeah. And not a case of, we didn't have any major incidents with us, but we did with pedestrians. Yeah. With the cyclists, not with the skaters. Yeah. You know what I mean? But by default, we're classed as the same sort of thing. So there was a bit of hoorah with that. Not bad, but we always made sure that we were, we didn't have any accidents and everything else, and we stayed within a zone sort of thing, and it was fine. And again, we're going Camden Hill, we're going Dartmouth. Then we had the issues with because we've done the exercise, because you're allowed to exercise with COVID, and then they brought in that rule of 6 thing. Yeah. And then,
how are you supposed to police that?
But we did have a confrontation with the police in the park. And they came in a van and everything else, Camden Hill, and we said, well, we tried to do the best we can and everything else, and they said, well, and we just said we're doing our exercise, and people said, and to be fair to the police, they did try to move us on a couple of times, but in the end, they can see that we weren't congregating, we weren't doing nothing bad, what I mean, there's nothing going on, and so they left us, leave us be, sort of thing. But it doesn't help when you see the police drone flying above your head, and we're like,
it's a different
vibe. So we said, okay, but the police went that, and then they can see that, we're scared. And then I even done a sign, which I put on the lamppost there, and said, any more than 6 split, with a big sign I put on round where we were skating. Yeah. Just to remind people, don't go in groups of 6. If you're in 6, then split. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and that time people, great, Del. I got a sign. Yeah, and a big A1 sign. I put it around the park. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just to show that there's.
But it's interesting though, isn't it? Because it's like, right, that role that's a leader role. That's that role. Like you're saying, like, not everybody wants to do it or everyone feels comfortable doing it. But do you feel so that just comes naturally to you to kind of be? You're aware that you are a figurehead in this community, right? Because that's what if I mention skating and say Camden or say Dartmouth, people will say your name. You're aware that exists, right? For real. I'm sorry, I don't make you feel uncomfortable. No. It's that thing of talking to Danny and things will kind of come up. You go, you should ask Delroy because he trusts your memory a bit more, but also he thinks you're. Like it was that thing of being you tuned into what you want, and I think is that a role that you feel kind of comfortable with? Is it something that kind of is there a pride in that? Is it hard work? Is it? Well, if you're saying think about it, I don't know.
I didn't know I had it.
Oh, for real?
If I'm honest, I didn't know I had it. I know people talk about me, but I didn't know it in that way.
Yeah,
sort of thing. But on reflection. The leader role. I see it more of. I'm supposed to lead it more guidance.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like than a lead. I see it as more guidance.
That seems like a probably better term for what I mean. Yeah. I guess it's that sense of like it's figurehead. You're not telling anybody what to do. Yeah. But if, for example, if somebody had someone that they brought with them and wanted them to kind of, they would steer them towards you, or they had a question about something, they would steer it towards you. Yeah. And there is that kind of sense of there's something lovely, right, about you talking about how fondly and warmly you were brought in back in the day. The fact that with the world and the mess or whatever it is, that those kind of values still hold. I guess what I'm trying to kind of get to as we kind of try and kind of wrap it up is that sense of, in terms of, does it feel like there is a value or values or way of thinking about the world that skating has affected, or that? I guess do you see what I'm trying to say? Does it feel? You talked about a theory, matrix. And this.
It's a case of no matter how bad the outside world is, there's still a good place you can go to. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, and that good place, if you can skate or you want to learn how to skate, if you're not, or if we have people even just come and watch skaters, they just come and sit on a bench and they watch them, and they're like, no, I'm just watching because you guys are cool.
That's what I did, and I loved it.
And I'm like, that's fine. And because it's almost like when people come up and they're like that, if they need guidance, I will always give guidance. I will never turn anybody away. And people have said, oh, have a word with Delroy, he tell you about wheels and that sort of thing, because I've learnt it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, from it's almost like when you talk about not knowing your craft. Yeah. And the best way to know your craft is start from any sort of work. If you start from the bottom up, so you're a worker, you're an apprentice, and then you become management. But management, you're a manager because you know how hard it is at the bottom, rather than being, oh, I've got a PhD, so I'm at the top already. Yeah. Because I know it from the bottom up, it's almost like, people pay a bit more attention, as in, what I have to say has value.
Well, it's respect, isn't it? I think it's respect from that kind of experience. Yeah. That feels like a lovely kind of way to come out. Can I ask you one last thing, right? Yeah. Might be putting you on the spot, right? Just because I think it's a nice way to end it. It's like, right, okay, it's Saturday morning, right? Whether you've got the yellow Farrows on or not, whatever you've got now, right? You're going out. What song jumps into your head? Let's say it's an inline day. You're talking before about I'm in the zone, right? And obviously there's going to be more than one song and the music, whatever. If I said to you, if you're just going to name a song where you're like, you know what, I can just feel it's a good one. I'm pushing off. I'm going. What song? Can you give me one? Not like definitive forever, but like what pops into your head? Because I think I love kind of bringing it down. Because if anyone listening to this, I would then go and just put on this tune and have a go.
Can I give you two?
Yes, please.
Right. Because bear in mind, I'm from the era of hardcore hip hop. Yep. Rave. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Talk to Danny about
and R&B. Yeah, because Danny's hardcore. He loves it in his house. Mm-hmm. From one spectrum, I can name it as Massive Attack.
Which one?
Sympathy.
Yeah. Tune.
Yeah.
Tune.
And from the other era, I would say, and this is my sort of skating side, is there's a song called, I think it's done by Enya, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. It's called Mother. Yeah. That's
real ethereal kind of floaty.
There you go. Yo. And when I hear Mother, one, it's about my mother anyway. Yeah. And two, it's that's a song I can just go.
It's like the epitome of it's like the soundtrack for Escape, isn't it? Yeah. That is an amazing selection. Yo, thank you so much. This has been absolutely brilliant. Is there anything you want to say, or if it like I don't know?
The only thing I would say is, no matter how good you think you are, yeah, there's always still scope to learn. Yeah, I'm learning still.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to ask, definitely. And even I ask, you know what I mean? Like, and sometimes when I ask some of the younger skaters and they look at me like, why are you asking me how that's done? Because you're the OG. And I'm like, no, I said, now you're teaching me.
Yeah.
And that then validation for them, knowing that they've improved a lot and everything else. And I would also say is, don't jump in with both feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes time. It's not going to come straight away.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people who go in with both feet, they get injured, and then they lose that spark then because now they're scared.
Yeah.
And I say to people, no, take your time,
Yeah.
get to understand it. Don't be afraid. This is one of the biggest things. Don't be afraid to wear protection.
Yeah.
You don't look like a knob. Believe me, I've worn helmets and everything else.
Yeah.
If especially at my age, and I still wear knee pads now. I said, protection's everything.
Yeah.
Because once you have a bad fall, it does knock your confidence a lot. So it's not a question of, I'm going to look daft wearing the equipment. It's a question of protecting myself for next time. And then always learn from your mistakes.
It's a long-term relationship.
It is.
Right?
It is. It's a long-term relationship. Learn from your mistakes. And then don't try and become like somebody else. Be yourself. Because when you're in your own, let's say, when you're in your own genre and you have your own sort of called persona, you know what I mean? Like, be one within your capabilities, because your capabilities will always change. Yeah. Because your capabilities will always improve. And then by default, you won't know how good you are until someone says, you know what, mate? He goes, no, you're all right, you are. You're good. And that's validation without you even knowing about it. And that, for me, is one of the key steps to knowing that when you're skating for the fun of skating and you're doing it, and then someone comes up to you who doesn't skate. It happened to me about last year, a little old lady in Lightwood Park, and she goes, excuse me. I went, yeah. She goes, I just want to say, she goes, I think you look absolutely amazing doing all that stuff. And that was one of the best comments I've had for the whole of the year. It was like, this lady's come up to me and stopped me just to say, I think you look amazing. And that for me was brilliant. That for me is a joyful sort of homage to my time skating. Yeah, I couldn't get any better than that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I could not get it. It's total stranger come up to you and say that. You know, made my day, made me skate even better.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Delroy, that is the perfect way to finish that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Right, I'm going to press stop because I'm happy to talk forever. The Rolling Out podcast is produced by Bertz Associates in partnership with Skate Buddies and with the support of an Awards for All grant from the National Lottery Community Fund. The music and sound design was composed and arranged by Sugunasingha.